Good evening. We're out here on a chilly evening under the gazebo. It's about 10 degrees outside, but the real feel is about 0. There's no wind, so it's okay. And I wanted to speak about the fact that yes, I work out outside year round. The cold doesn't bother me. That being said, this isn't Minnesota cold. This isn't Idaho cold. This isn't Montana cold. It's Chicago cold. So it's cold, but it's not extreme. However, I'm not advocating that you should work out outside exclusively. I like it, but I'm not expecting people to watch this and say, okay, it's 10 degrees outside, feels like 0, I'm going outside to work out. That's not really what I'm expecting or what I want. What I want is to document how I stay healthy and fit, and I want to inspire you to find creative ways to work out, build your muscles, build your strength, stay fit, stay injury free. So I thought that needed to be said. Secondly, I'm going to speak a little bit more about isometrics. So I mentioned isometrics in another one of my videos, but essentially isometrics are anytime you're in an exercise position where you're squeezing the muscle and putting tension in the muscle, but you're not moving. So, for example, if I grab this bench and I start pulling up on it, I can't pull it up anymore. So my muscle is in an isometric hold. ISO 1 metric distance. It's not moving, but I'm applying tension and pressure to it. And or like this. So I'm pulling up on the bench. It's not moving. My muscles aren't moving, but my glutes are contracted, my shoulders are pulling up, my hands are pulling up as well. So when you work out like that, you can build muscle that way and you can get strong that way, and it doesn't put any tension on your tendons. And this is especially useful the older you get, because the older you get, a lot of times if you're doing the same motions, the same kind of workouts, the same exercises again and again and again for years, your tendons can give out. And isometrics are a really nice way, like I said, especially when you start getting older. I'm 38, so someone who's 48 would say I'm not that old. Then someone who's 58 would say someone who's 48 is not that old. It's all relative. But in terms of training and athletics, 38 is when professional athletes sometimes retire. Whereas I feel like I'm just getting started. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use our trusty beam, and I'm going to do a little bit of hanging. So I love hanging, the dead hang, just hanging on a bar, not pulling, just hanging. You can do this with your feet on the ground. So you can find a bar or something to grip, and imagine there's a bar here, and you can just bend your knees, and then at some point you're going to feel the tension in your shoulders, and that's how you can start hanging. So that's an isometric, and one of the greatest isometrics there is. Hanging is wonderful for the spine, for the posture. It can correct many shoulder problems. It strengthens your hands, your forearms. I love it. I'm always hanging. Just hang out. Just hang out. I'll put in the description of this video, I'll put a couple hanging instructionals that I've found on YouTube that I like, and maybe a few isometric instructionals as well. So I'm going to hang from our beam up there, and then I'm going to do some calf isometrics. So essentially just standing on the toes. standing up, going up on your toes, bending your knees. Your calves get a really good stretch. And then put your weight back and bring your toes into the air and stretch the other way. So I put my toes on the bench. My shoulders and hands are still working. They're still being isometrically worked. Very fun. We'll do the calves. Up on the toes. Up on the toes. You can feel those calves working. Another isometric. Now, toes up. Now I'll hang again, but with the hands on either side. Isometric. One of the most famous strongmen of all time was a gentleman named Alexander Zass, or Zass, not sure how to pronounce it, Z-A-S-S. He has some incredible feats of strength. Some of them are on film, but in World War I, he was in prisoner of war camps in Europe, and he wanted to stay fit because he was a physical culturist, wanted to stay fit and strong while in captivity. So he started pulling on the bars of his cell where he was held. So he was pulling on the bars. So that's an isometric. So he's pulling on the bars, pulling. And then eventually, what happened? He got so strong, because isometrics get you really strong. He's pulling for so many years, or however long. Maybe I'm embellishing years, but pulling. Eventually he broke the bars, bent the bars, and escaped. And I believe he did it multiple times. And then he went on to be a world famous strongman. And like I said, some of his feats of strength of bending iron are on film. I think you can find them on YouTube. I could link that in the description of the video as well. So, isometrics, all of the old time strongmen, they all practiced isometrics. I'll go into further detail about them in later videos. But I want to state, a lot of these exercises I do, you can find places indoors to do them. You don't have to be doing them outside. Do I recommend doing them outside? Yeah. I find exercising in the fresh air, I find it more enjoyable. I think it's more productive, but it's not realistic for everyone to do this. And the point of these, like I said earlier, is for you to start to look at exercise and working out and training and fitness. Just look at it a little different. Look at it from a different perspective, that you can just do little things here and there and lift your arms and squeeze the table Look, push down on the table. Push down, like little. Push down. Isometric. You're just holding. Or just pull up a little bit. Take the band, hold the band, stretch the band. There's little things you can do to implement into your life that can make a big difference. And in my opinion, that's the way forward for most people. I think for most people, going to the gym is sometimes not an option. And a lot of people that I know personally, they want to be fit, but they don't have the time, they don't have the energy, they don't have the ability to make that a consistent routine for whatever reason. And my philosophy is fitting it into your everyday life. A couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. Squeeze this, put your arms over your head. And if you make it a lifestyle, it can really benefit you. So yeah, a bit of a long video this evening, but what had to be said was said. So, power to you.